Good morning and welcome to Church at Home with Rachael for Thanksgiving Day, the 11th of October. I pray that this has been a good long weekend for you and that if you haven't already stuffed yourself in turkey, that today you'll have the opportunity to do that, or whatever your Thanksgiving meal might be. This morning, I would like to talk to you a little bit about the importance of mental health. On Thanksgiving of all times, it's so important to give thanks for our health and for the opportunities we have to be healthy and to access health care. And I am reminded that last week we heard the news that Carey Price, the most amazing goaltender ever in my mind, and lead goaltender for my team, Les Habitants, the Habs, Montreal Canadiens, didn't show up for training camp because he has sought out help for some sort of mental health reasons. We don't know what's going on for sure, and we don't need to. What we need to do is recognize that somebody who's in the public eye, who is responsible for his family, his wife and 3 children, who has had an incredible career with an incredible amount of pressure put upon him, is seeking help of some sort. And he's allowing the public to know about that. And that's a really powerful thing, because not always are people willing to be open about the fact that they simply need help. If I broke my wrist, say I tripped putting my computer away, I broke my wrist, I would get in the car or get Rob to take me and go down to the hospital, and they'd set my wrist and they'd do what they had to do to fix it. But if there's something wrong up here and I'm not feeling so great, I should be able to do the same thing, right? I should be able to go and ask for help. And the fact is that it's not that easy for a couple of reasons. For one thing, our healthcare system acknowledges people break their wrists, they get in car accidents, they end up with, shingles, something happens, they get pneumonia, they get COVID, and we go to the hospital, go to a doctor, and somebody helps us out. But when it comes to mental health, maybe it's because it's not visible. I'm not sure why the stigma is there, but it's more difficult to ask for help, and it's also more difficult to access help. You can't just simply go to the hospital and say, I feel depressed. Unless you're saying, I'm going to kill myself, I'm going to cause bodily harm to myself or another. Generally speaking, you're not going to get very much help in the emergency room. Maybe I'm wrong, I hope I am, but my sense is that you're going to be, go speak to your family doctor if you have one. Go use the employee assistance program at your work if you have a job, or if your work offers coverage for the employee assistance program. I am very fortunate because Rob, because he works for the government, he's military, he has access to the employee assistance program, and I can, if I need help, I can reach out and get it. But a lot of businesses, not even just tiny ones, but a lot of businesses, that mental health component is not naturally part of the work that they need. I was in a diocese once as a priest, and I needed some help. When I reached out to the diocese, I was informed that they only had that kind of employee assistance, that mental health availability, for the people who worked in the diocesan staff, in the diocesan office. And they sort of tucked me in there, and I was able to receive some help, which was great. But it says that there's something wrong there when a diocese of any, or a church in particular, doesn't have access to mental health for the very people who are often the priests, who are often the front line workers for people who have mental health concerns. Because for those people who go to church, hopefully your priest is someone you can talk to and turn to, and they are the first step in finding some help. Sometimes all you need to do is talk to somebody, and that relieves the pressure enough that you can get through your day. But there is stigma about mental health, and there is this attitude that if I have to ask for that kind of help, it might hurt my job, it might hurt my family, I might be made fun of, it might mean that people think I'm crazy. I don't know why that happened, and I'm sure we could get into some historical discussions and sociological discussions about where all of that comes from. But what a shame. If you think about it, if you think about the work that Jesus did, He seemed to be in mental anguish toward the end. He went to the night of the Last Supper, before he was betrayed. He went to the Garden of Gethsemane to pray. He took time away, and in that time, we know that he was crying. He was hurt. He was mentally anguished because he knew, if he didn't know exactly what was going to happen, he knew that something horrendous was about to happen, and there was nothing he could do to stop it if he was to be faithful to the call he had. And he had mental anguish that night. His time in the desert, being tempted by the devil, by Satan, that must have provided him with mental anguish. How was he dealing with that? How was he able to get through that? And you can't tell me that just because he was Jesus, he was fully divine as well as fully human, that he just skated through that. That's not the point. Jesus became like one of us. He became one of us, which means he suffered, and he understood what it was to suffer those thoughts, those in your mind, to be anxious about things, to worry about things, to have such complete anxiety that you don't know how to think straight. And thinking also about all of the people that he met along the way that he healed. Certainly many of them had physical problems, leprosy, and they didn't have sight and things like that. But what of all those who had demons cast out of them? What if those were mental health issues? What if those were people who were so anguished by evil thoughts or self-condemning thoughts that what people around them thought of as evil spirits within them were simply their own brain playing mind games on them? I don't think that mental health issues are new to our generations. I think they've always been around. We now have the science, and we have the capacity, we have the ability and the willingness, or starting to anyway, to talk about mental health issues. We should not have to wait for someone as famous as Carey Price to stand up and say, I need help. Or to watch and see what happened with Robin Williams, who didn't stand up and say, I need help. Mental health issues are things that we can help with. We can find assistance for people. We can help people to talk about what's going on. Or if there's a physiological thing, if there's a chemical imbalance or a tumor or something else that's causing mental illness, then we need to be able to deal with that. There's no reason why we can't. And so today, on this Thanksgiving Day, I give thanks for science and for psychology and all of the ologies, that theology being one of them, that are working toward finding ways to help people be completely whole, physically, spiritually, psychologically, mentally whole. But I also pray and invite you to pray and invite you to help me find ways that we can work toward finding ways to make sure that every single Canadian can have mental health assistance if and when they need it. I've used it before. I've had periods in my life where I have been depressed or very down or confused and needed someone to talk to. And I've been fortunate because most of those times I've found someone. But I know I'm one of the fortunate few. So how can we as a society ask our governments, federal, provincial, municipal, whatever it takes, to make mental health a priority for all people? I think that's something we can all pray on and give thanks in advance for on this Thanksgiving Day. As we pray for Carey Price, as we pray for all of those people who are feeling so much anguish right now and feel so alone. Help us to be able to reach out to them, that they might know they are not alone, and that there are people who care about them and are here to help. Happy Thanksgiving, everyone. I hope that you have a good Thanksgiving, and I hope that you are able to participate in the promotion of good mental health. God bless you. I will see you again tomorrow for Church at Home with Rachael on Tuesday.